Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Sox On Tap.
Tony, my first reaction is just, fuck yes, let's go.
Sox versus Detroit. That's where it all starts. It all starts taking care of business in-house in the Central Division.
That's right, I'm a meatball.
You got to bring that top button swag, baby.
It is always great to beat the Cubs.
And I'm a homer, so I always say they're gonna. Dallas Keuchel Lansing got some beards that you should be afraid of.
What everybody said when he gets out there, it's me versus the other guy, and I'm going to beat him. So I just love that mentality. It's cool and fucking tough.
Steve, would you say that Tony is mad online?
I would definitely say that.
The White Sox winner.
White Sox fans, welcome in. You are listening to the Sox On Tap post-game show. Jonnie and NWI here, joined by NWI Steve. A little bit froggy voices on the show tonight. We were bearing that wind out on Thursday at the ballpark, but we are hashtag back talking about a White Sox winner. Steve, White Sox, Rays you won. Beat the Rays, 1-run ball game, 3-2 final. White Sox improved to 5-2. I'm feeling delicious. I don't know about you, man.
Hey, yo, Johnny, I'm feeling good. That was just a nice, good, clean, crisp White Sox winner, baby. You love to see it to start a series off.
Yeah, absolutely. Against obviously a team that is going to be a contender as well in the American League. It's nice to stack up. Remember, there was that kind of stretch in the middle of last year where we had a stretch of good AL teams coming in, especially coming into the rate. And we thought, this is going to be a big measuring stick. See how we stack up because it was a little bit lighter schedule before. Now we're getting some of these big ones out early the way. It was good to, like you said, start off on the right foot here. So we'll get into all the details from this game. But before we do, listeners, as always, make sure you're visiting OnTapSportsNet.com for all your Chicago sports, literature, and podcasting needs. Give us a follow on social media. That's On Tap Sportsnet and at Sox On Tap. And to join the stream, join your comments, get them in here right below here. Go and subscribe on Tap Sportsnet on YouTube. When you post a comment there, we'll be able to pull it up and display it on the broadcast. You can do that from Facebook as well. Unfortunately, we cannot integrate the comments from Twitter yet. So working on that still, but not capable as of this moment. So bottom line, go subscribe on Tap Sportsnet on YouTube. Get your comments in this stream. So Steve, let's talk. Starting, like we mentioned, starting off the series on right foot here. White Sox take down the Rays 3-2. From this one, I think we got to start with Mr. Dylan Cease because that was an outstanding outing. I know we started offense before. Let's start pitching. What do you like from Dylan Cease tonight?
Same thing that we saw from Dylan Cease in his first start of the year in Detroit last weekend, going out there, establishing fastball command early, getting ahead consistently, allowing himself to pitch ahead of these Tampa Bay Ray hitters, get into these 0-2, 1-2 counts, and he was really doing a nice job of mixing up his pitch mix to be able to put guys away. He had 8 strikeouts during the course of his 5 2/3 innings today. And it wasn't just utilizing the fastball or the overhand curve or the slider to put guys away. He was varying it up. There was really no distinct pattern to what he was doing. That's the type of thing that you want to see from a guy that everybody has very lofty expectations from this season as a viable Cy Young candidate. And through 2 starts here so far, we've seen what people are talking about here. Got a little bit shaky there in the 4th inning, just running up a couple of deep counts. But overall, you have to be thrilled once again with the effort from Dylan Cease tonight.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I think a big point that I take away from your takeaways there is mixing it up, because all of these teams, especially a team like the Rays, are really, really good with their analytics, their scouting. They have a game plan of what they want to do against you. They study your tendencies. Obviously, not much to build on from this season, but carrying over from last season. Well, guess what? You switch it up on them, and they're going to look foolish. That's exactly what happened.
You're absolutely right. And that, again, was something that I'm going to be very interested to watch with Dylan throughout the course of the season here, from start to start, seeing how he's going to go about varying up his looks for different lineups. Obviously, this Tampa lineup is a little more well-rounded than the one that he saw in Detroit last weekend. So going out there, establishing strike one, fastball command, paramount importance with a team like Tampa that is pretty patient overall offensively. Went out there today and I just can't say enough about the progression that we're seeing from this guy, going back even to the second half of last season and the carryover effect that it is having now here. Granted, only 2 starts here, so we got to temper the optimism a little bit. But if he continues to build upon this, we are just seeing, I think, the tip of the iceberg for what everyone believes is going to be a very dynamic, successful season for Dylan Cease.
100% Steve. Cease was dealing. Our first comment here from Sally G in the YouTube stream. Cease was dealing tonight. His final numbers 5 2/3, 3 hits, 1 earned run, just 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. That's a pretty figure. You'll like to see it. We got Matt in here, Voodoo X07. Strike 1, hashtag set the tone. Strike 2, set the tone. Strike 3, set the fucking tone. I love it. See, that's why you subscribe on YouTube. Get your comments in here on the stream. We love it, especially our guests that keep coming back and interacting with the show. We love to see it. So that about wraps up Dylan Cease. Let's get into scoring in this game a little bit, Steve. I know there's some bullpen stuff to talk about later, but we'll flip it to the offense, how this thing got going. And with scoring, White Sox open it up in the bottom of the second. A little bit more of set the tone action pretty fairly early in the game. Sheets the 1-out ground rule double. Garcia gets him over on a 6-3 ground out. Sheets gets a third, and then he scores. A little hashtag wild pitch offense here.
You got to love the wild pitch offense. I was joking around about it the last couple of days on twitter.com. It's a pretty popular social networking site that people like to use. We've seen over the course of the last year or two that the Sox have actually been pretty beneficial when it comes to the wild pitch offense. So seeing it come to fruition here once again today, nice way to go get on the board again. You know, Tampa is a team that generally plays pretty close, tight-knit ball games here. So being able to take advantage of the situation there, getting some wild pitches, and really one thing that I want to talk about, a lot of people within the White Sox Twitter space like to talk about Yasmani Grandal's defense. If you want to see what a really bad defensive catcher looks like, Francisco Mejia back there, because that was an absolute train wreck behind the plate tonight from Tampa Bay.
White Sox were beneficiaries of it, obviously, on that play when the White Sox scored their first run, but they could have been further in the game, too. I know they weren't able to bring Adam Engel around eventually when he got on for Vaughn and pinch ran later, but like you had said, I think that is something, evident to point out, and that's a team that, Rays are pretty well known for doing just about everything right. Correct. And sure, you might have a few faulty areas. Well, obviously, it's nice when the faulty area can play into our advantage as the opponent against them. So let's move on. We got a Burger Bomb, friend of the show, Jake Burger. That is his second career home run in the bottom of the third inning, makes it 2-0. You love to see this guy hit, stepping up with Yoan Moncada out of the lineup.
You really do. This is the type of guy that it's always been talked about that he was going to hit regardless of what level he was at. The biggest issue for him was always just some untimely, unfortunate injuries. But he's hit everywhere that he's ever been before. And he's going out there and he's putting a lot of pressure on Rick Hahn, on Tony La Russa here to say, hey, you know what? I belong up here. Danny Mendick, if I were you, I'd probably be looking for somewhere to live down in Charlotte right now, because if Jake Burger continues to produce at this clip here over the next 2 weeks while Yoan Moncada is still out, I don't know how you can possibly justify sending him back down to Charlotte at this point.
Right. And one little, hardcore hashtag analysis for me here. I love the spirit with which Jake Burger plays the game. Steve, you just see he's always happy. He's always a happy-go-lucky guy. He gets really excited for his moments. He gets excited for his teammates. Hell, remember when that wind was whipping around there on Thursday afternoon? And, he finally made like a catch on a pop-up, and he's like giving the crowd, a double fist pump for it. I just love it. I think that's the energy that, he fits in. He's a South Sider, right?
Well, and I think a lot of that just comes from the adversity that he himself has had to face during the course of his professional career since he got drafted. I think it just goes to show that he is really appreciative of the opportunity and thankful to be in the major leagues. And he's going to enjoy every minute that he has, just knowing everything he's gone through. And that type of mentality really is infectious, especially when you look at some of the other guys on this team that play with the same mindset. He's got that TW. You are absolutely right. Hawk would love that. Hawk right now, he's turning some Smirnoff into piss in Granger, Indiana. And he said, that Burger boy, he's got that TW.
Yes, absolutely. That's great stuff. Great to see Jake Burger hit his second career home run tonight. I thought that also was funny. One last comment on Burger. Jason Benetti had a funny tweet, and it was, Jake Burger, you've hit two. He tagged him, said you've hit 2 home runs in your MLB career. And I've been on the couch for both of them, because one was a national game last year, Saturday night game on Fox, and then this year, obviously, on Apple TV. We'll get to the Apple TV broadcast later. Let's move on in the scoring here. Bottom of the fifth, Steve, you said this is going to be a huge run as soon as it happened. Lurie finally gets his first hit of the season, breaks an 0-for-18 slump, double down the left field line. Vaughn gets him over. Get him on. Get him over there. Vaughn with the ground out to the right side. Get him over to third. And Jake Burger coming through once again. RBI single. Puts the White Sox up 3-0 at this point.
Just coming through in the clutch, understanding situation, realizing, hey, we've got a man on third with less than 2 outs. We got to find a way to push this run across right here because that's a pivotal run to jump up 3-0 right there. And that turned out to be the difference in this ball game here. So again, just tip of the cap to Jake Berger. Phenomenal performance up there offensively tonight.
Yeah, I know usually when I'm on with Tony, because since he's my fellow hockey guy over at Four Feathers Pod, I talk about the game-winning hit or the game-winning run. When you look back on it, sure, it's not as prevalent in baseball as it is in hockey. When you talk about like the game-winning goal, it doesn't get like talked about as much. But I like to bring it up because that's technically the game-winning hit, right? Even though it happens much earlier in the stanzas.
Absolutely. And that's the type of thing that matters over the course of 162 games is you never know when that pivotal at bat is going to
It
come.
can come in the first inning.
Exactly. And Johnny, you talk about this all the time about needing to be opportunistic.
Right.
Getting that third run across right there, that was the very definition of opportunistic if you look it up in the dictionary, which I know everyone at home is.
Absolutely. And we could bring this comment back from Matt, our guy again. Berger has TWTW. That's, that's on full display right there. You talked about, just stepping up when you need to. Matt also says, tip of the cap to Andrew Vaughn's grounder second base. That's a secondary apple. Yes, we're going with the hockey slang here. I love it. Yeah, Matt's a big Hawks guy too here. So he brings that up. There you go. Yeah, if we're talking about it in hockey terms. It makes all more sense because Jake Berger is a hockey fan. So I love that. I love when I can tie that in here. All right, let's move on. Got a little shaky, as you mentioned, we had the Cease fourth inning, which kind of forced him not being able to go out and complete the sixth. But in the sixth, he had walked Brandon Lau to lead off there. And then they go, Franco gets him to fly out. Rosarina strikes out. And then that's when Aaron Bummer comes into the game. Good pull, because you got lefty coming up with Choi, so you get the lefty-lefty matchup there. But unfortunately, Choi smokes one out to the left center gap. And Luis Robert, talk about this missed time jump here, because this kind of opened the floodgates, I guess, a little bit. Granted, it did stop shortly after, but still, this is what happened. What did you see from Luis Robert on this one?
I think it's just a combination of two different things. I think he kind of lost track of where he was relative to the wall on the warning track. And again, we've seen this from him on a couple of different occasions over the course of the last 2 or 3 years that he does have a tendency to mistime that jump. You contrast that with what we see from Adam Engel. We saw this just a couple of nights ago here, who is really just textbook in executing that play at the wall there, timing that jump effortlessly. Really, it would be interesting to see if those two kind of get together and if Engel kind of shares with him a little bit and some pointers on, hey, this is, one of the things you got to be mindful of, understanding your positioning here and working to help time that jump a little bit more effectively. Because I think that's really the one flaw in Luis Roberts' game defensively.
Right. And he's made plenty of amazing plays that we've seen. He's not going to make every single one here. So unfortunate timing for this one, because you would have liked to have Cease have the clean sheet in terms of runs. And then it just kind of piles onto the Aaron Bummer thing. And I will hand up here. Hand up. I've been harsh on both Bummer and Hendricks, but I just think that's because we shouldn't be nervous when you have your big money, big name relievers coming in. But that's just, me. And it happens. If he makes that catch, we're all talking about how amazing of a play it is. So unfortunately, like I said, opens the floodgates a little bit, because next guy up is a right-handed hitter, and that's Yadi Diaz, who laces a double down the right field line, goes oppo off of Bummer, and makes this game a 3-2 ball game. But Bummer did recover, gets Zunino to fly out, and then we move on in this one. Bummer comes back out, redeems himself. He did have a little bit, he kind of thought in that, was that in the seventh inning then, with Margot leading off with the single. But Bummer able to limit that, even with Margot stealing a base with one out, I believe, there too. So good bounce back there from Bummer. I can at least appreciate that. If I'm going to rip him the first time, I'll go and I'll give him his kudos when he deserves it. How's that?
Yeah, he really did kind of cinch it up and hunker down, as Hawk would like to say there. He really just abused Kevin Kiermaier with a sweeping slider there. And I mean, Francisco Mejia just had a terrible night offensively, dealing with breaking balls, first from Dylan Cease and then from Aaron Bummer once again. So they had a clearly defined point of attack on how they were going to go after him when he was in the batter's box, and it was successful for the entire night. So really nice to see Bummer kind of just really tighten up there and get through that seventh inning with that 3-2 lead.
All right, so this would normally be the section where we're talking about late inning drama with the rest of the bullpen, but there was none of that tonight. Kendall Graveman, 1, 2, 3. I do need to give a shout out because, if you want to, last year, and granted in the playoffs, it was a costly, the White Sox not shifting appropriately. Guess what? They shifted perfectly on that Wander Franco lineout to start Kendall Graveman's inning there. So and you give kudos to that. Other than that, the grave digger gets it done. Kendall Graveman, scoreless outings 5 times this year. Gotta love it.
Gravedigger is going out and showing why he warranted that free agent contract this season that Rick Hahn gave him. He has really come out there and, dare I say, set the tone for the bullpen, and being a guy that you have a high level of confidence in when he gets the ball in late game situations here. And you're obviously very hopeful that that is something that will continue over the course of this season.
Right. I'm totally satisfied with Kendall Graveman to date. And then, hey, Liam Hendricks, shortest, pitch count outing that he's had, 1, 2, 3. Even made a kick save and a beauty. If we're in the hockey space here, still
give me a little Pat Foley.
Yeah.
Here, Johnny.
Kick save and a beauty, Hendricks.
All right. Thank you. I needed that after last night.
Yeah, exactly. After Pat Foley hung up the mic for the last time last night. But yeah, it was good to see from Hendricks too, because I will say I still just got nervous just based on the first couple of outings that we've seen from so far this year. And I think that was warranted. And we saw it at certain points during last year. But let's hope this is a stretch of a shutdown one. Because if you remember, he had the rough stretch, giving up a bunch of home runs early in like April last year. And then in May, he was a reliever of the month and he was absolutely locked down. I don't think he got maybe like 2 runs off of him all month. So hopefully that's the start of a stretch here.
Yeah. And again, we talked about this the other night. Really, it is going to be imperative for him to continue working in his secondary offerings with more regularity so that he is not just a one-pitch pitcher. Was working the slider in a little bit more again here today. Still not particularly good command with it. So it is still certainly a work in progress and something that he clearly just doesn't have the feel for at this moment. That's going to be the biggest thing for him looking to get back on track.
Right. Good breakdown there, Steve. So that does it. White Sox win this one 3-2. Let's look at our pick to click results here. Tony had Anderson, Buzz had Grandal along with me. You had Eloy in his return to the lineup, and Sean's got to win it. Sean Roberts with his X factor. Dylan Cease, that takes the cake here. He's ballsy. He goes for the pitcher all the time, man.
Sean is a big pitcher guy when it comes to the pick to click. A little bit unconventional for us as a group here, but hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to be unconventional when everyone else is conventional, and
right.
It's paying off so far.
Yeah, because I can't say any of the rest of us deserved one. Maybe if someone had Burger, that would be the only other one that could probably strike on this night. So that's about it. Let's move on. Actually, before we move on to the next game preview, we will get to that in a second. But let's talk, since this is the first Apple TV broadcast that the White Sox were on this year. I had tuned in last week when it was Nats Mets with the same broadcast crew that we had tonight, and I'm sorry, I just couldn't deal with it. It was just poor. The production quality is nice. I think the graphics are nice. I think they have some cool stats that get thrown up in the corner there. All the camera quality is super nice, but the broadcast itself, I'm not a fan of. So I'll tell you what, I didn't hear a single second of them during in-game commentary from the Apple TV broadcast. My pro tip to anyone, if you didn't see it on my Twitter, make sure you go pull up the Apple TV on whatever monitor you're watching on or on your TV, and then on a separate device or in a different tab, if you're watching all on laptop, pull up MLB.TV, and you can go and pull up the radio feed, the Sox radio feed, no matter what. And that also allows you to pause, then rewind if you need to be able to sync it up. So I had Lennon DJ calling it the whole time. So I had no problems.
It was not great, Bob. You know, there were some audio issues that were going on pretty regularly here where the crowd mic almost was overpowering the broadcast crew for several instances, and it almost just sounded as if they weren't really enunciating into the mic very loudly here. And just with some of the graphic packages that they were doing and some of the Jackie Robinson video packages and montages that they were doing, again, there were just numerous instances where you weren't able to hear the broadcast crew very effectively on it. And you know, the one thing that I'm going to say, and I tweeted this out earlier, and our guy Sal here in the comments, he nailed this thing. How in the hell was Tim Anderson not mic'd up for this game? Someone explain this to me, because I don't understand it. You talk about a guy that is, you know, really the face of the White Sox franchise here, a guy that does a lot of work in the inner city of Chicago, a black player, a prominent black player from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the heart of SEC football country, okay, on Jackie Robinson Day. And TA has spent a lot of time talking about understanding the history of Jackie Robinson and his path to the major leagues and what it meant for guys like him. How do you not give him that opportunity?
He's done a bunch of cool initiatives that I think he would have been able to talk about that in between innings when he's just waiting in the dugout, right? When it's not his turn in the order there. That would have been a perfect opportunity. And obviously, you would have the flair during the game, his interactions with players, because he's very lively. I agree. Matt in here again should be mic'd up every game. Obviously, Sal had the How is Timmy not mic'd up, like you had said too, Steve. And then we've got another one on overall, Sal saying Apple TV broadcast was garbage. So, and Matt went to the one after the second. I would just recommend doing it from before first pitch, get it synced up so it's all set from the get-go. My only other comment, though, is there are two broadcast teams because they usually do a earlier slot game and then a later slot game. And I did tune into both of them last week just to see what it was going to be. And I will say the one on, at least it was on the later game, which was again today, because I think it's Reds Dodgers tonight out in LA. That other broadcast team is Steven Nelson, local Chicago guy, Hunter Pence, Katie Nolan, and Heidi Watney used to be on MLB Network. That broadcast crew, I think they did a much better job than the one tonight. Who you had tonight was Melanie Newman on play-by-play, Chris Young, analyst, Hannah Kaiser, analyst, and Brooke Fletcher as the reporter there. So there's your differences in teams on Apple TV stream. Since that was the first time, figure it was, time to at least unload on it a little bit with our thoughts, hashtag thoughts on that. So, Steve, a little bit of news before we go in. This will kind of transition into our next game preview. And this is Josh Harrison was available off the bench tonight per TLR, said he probably should be good to start Saturday. So that's encouraging news. I never know with a veteran guy like that how long back stiffness is going to take. And that leads us in Saturday's game, White Sox Rays, 1:10 p.m. start, back on NBC Sports Chicago. We've got Corey Kluber going for the Rays, Michael Kopech, fireballer, going for the White Sox. Thoughts? What are you expecting from this one?
This is going to be a really interesting matchup here. Again, very similar to Dylan Cease. Michael Kopech has to go out there and establish fastball command early. We saw it get away from him a little bit early on in that start against Detroit. Maybe it was just a little bit amped up first start of the season. So it's really going to be important for him to go out there, establish that fastball, and particularly, I think, elevating that fastball at the top of the strike zone. I think he can have a lot of success with these Tampa hitters here. They do swing through a lot of fastballs, admittedly. So that's something that I will be very interested to see if Kopech and Ethan Katz, if that is the game plan that they look to attack the Tampa hitters with. And listen, the Sox, they know Corey Kluber. He spent a lot of time in Cleveland. This lineup, a lot of guys here know him very well, so they have a good idea as far as what to expect from him. They understand how that slider breaks. So I'm looking for the Sox to go out there, have good quality at bats, and kind of get back to what we saw, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week here, getting a little bit more better at bats. The last two games, they've kind of tapered off a little bit here. So I'm looking forward to seeing them just string together some better at bats tomorrow.
Yeah, they're going to have to do that too, Steve, because it's going to be another chilly one. I'm looking at doing the Weta guy's job here since he's in witness protection. It's going to be around 43 at first pitch, winds blowing it about 15 to 16 miles an hour. So may not be conducive to a hitter's day, even though it will kind of be, partially sunny throughout the day. So obviously a little more lift than maybe tonight, but still it's April baseball in Chicago. So quality at bats would be my key as well. So let's run it into some picks to click then. If we're going to get this done on the quick turnaround and take the series tomorrow, who's going to help them get it done?
It's going to be Jose Abreu. He has had great success against Corey Kluber throughout the course of his career. I am looking for him to put one in the left field bullpen tomorrow.
Absolutely. Matt's with you there. I see that. I like that. All right. As I'm looking at this one, obviously we don't know exactly who will be in the lineup, but I am going to ride with Mr. Andrew Vaughn. I would imagine him right-handed bat. I don't believe I've picked him this year either. I have to diversify a little bit because, you know me, it's very, very easy for me to go back to Yasmani Grandal like every other day because I'm just waiting for the home run surge to come at some point. And it will. And there'll probably be a stretch in the summer where I keep doing that. But I'm going to go with Andrew Vaughn, I would assume. Hopefully he'll be in the lineup tomorrow. So if not, if he doesn't come back, since I've struck out on a couple of times where guys haven't been in the lineup, I will go with Josh Harrison, assuming TLR's note update today was correct and that Harrison is available, should be able to start tomorrow. So I like those picks, Steve. Other than that, give me a final thought and then let's get out of here.
Really positive encouraging performance again from Dylan Cease getting into the 6th inning. This bullpen needs it right now. They're getting taxed a little heavily here, especially after Jimmy Lambert throwing the other day. So to see Dylan Cease go out there and give them some more length, that's going to help them here for the remainder of this series.
All right. I love it. My final thought is that iOS needs a shovel emoji so I can probably tweet out Gravedigger content from Sox on Tap. So that's it. That's all I've got. Let's go take a series tomorrow and hopefully get a sweep when you and I are there on Sunday. White Sox forever.
White Sox for life.